know under what circumstances. We are aware by virtue of what we are under a lockdown, but we could venture into, they could take the courage to come and interact on a subject which is forbidden. So Air Travel Association has decided that we should speak on air travel future prospects, issues and challenges. Though it's very critical time speaking of on the subject and future aspects, people think there is no future. Let us see how we can evolve a strategy for the future. And the flow of activities, as per the decided flow, we will invite our secretary sir for a brief prayer and a silence in the memory of the souls which has departed from the earth. And Narsimham sir, the secretary ATA, he is an engineer by profession, and he has a very illustrious career in BHEL. I recall when he came into Delhi in 1976, and since then he is rocking whatever he has taken under his stride. And he's a freelancer now, and he has got a depth interaction with, be it in a Japanese, German, French, American companies or individuals. And I personally feel that he is steering the Air Travel Association in a manner that we can touch heights. Over to Secretary sir.
Thank you, Mr. Basa. Good morning to all of you, everyone, each one of you.
Good morning, sir.
We'll start a small prayer, few seconds. Om Agajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Mahalnisam Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Om Sri Vishwesvaraya Namo Namaha. When I say Vishwesvaraya, it covers all the religions existing in the universe. Everything is part of Vishwam, is universe. And as we propose, we just observe 1 minute of silence in the memory of those souls which have left us during this pandemic period. And we pray God Almighty to rest their souls in eternal peace. We'll start 1 minute now. At the end of it, I'll say Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for very kind gesture. I recall the days when we used to have a physical seminars and webinars. We used to have lighting the lamp, and this reminds that what a change we are into. We are into digital era, but still we have followed the gestures which has been mandated in our scriptures. With this thing, I had promised Sanat Kaul sir that we will hand over him the floor by 10, 11, 10 or 11:15. So we will follow that, sir. I will request now our president, Dr. Sindar Singh, sir. He is the former DGCA, as we all not know, and he is an aeronautical engineer, and he has an IIT graduate from Kanpur, and he has a very specialized flair for aviation. And in good old days, he had started working on high revolving, moving, high speed instruments, and which could have a wind tunnel of 4 Mach. I was looking into his old achievements. And presently, he is also on the government's committee for revamping of DGCA, and he is actively involved in so many activities relating to aviation, and one of them being the president of the Air Travel Association. Under his umbrella, we are progressing day by day, and this webinar is also his creature, his thought. We hope that we will be successful. Sir, over to you for your welcome address for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Baba. Good morning to everyone, and especially all participants. I've just started saying that air travel these days is in a very low positions and is not working to the satisfaction of the demand. And of course, the things would improve with this part. I would not like to take a lot of time. I would like to welcome everyone, all participants and panelists, especially I would like to welcome Dr. Sanat Kaul, who is very busy today and would be leaving for Kasoli today, just after the webinar. So thank you very much for accommodating Dr. Kaul. And I would like to say only this much, that we will, Mr. Baba, you kindly continue and introduce Mr. P.S. Nair, who can then welcome formally everyone and start. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being very brief. We know that we think that we are very easy on this lockdown period, but we are becoming busier and busier, even being under a lockdown. I will be coming to Mr. P.S. Nair for setting the wheel to motion, and this webinar, the title, what is the scenario outside on the ground. Mr. Nair is the best person. We thought it fit that he can introduce to the panelists that what is happening outside, though they themselves are also aware what is happening outside, but he has he is able to see that from the apex level. Mr. Nair carries with him a 40 years plus experience in the airport sector, in particular, and civil aviation in general, and he had been very instrumental in aviation circles. He started from Trivandrum airport, then he went to Delhi airport, then he went to cargo, then he headed the key infrastructure department within the airport authority, and he had been my boss at numerous positions and situations. And he is credited with the conceptualization of many things in the aviation. So that also we thought that he is the for everything. And if I think that if we are able to see private airports on the ground today, Mr. Nair is instrumental in some form bringing PPP on the ground at that time. And he had been a CEO of Delhi Airport when he held the onerous responsibility of laying down the operation system successfully and commissioning the T3 ahead of time during the Welcome Games also. And he had been involved actively in the ACI Asia Pacific region activities. And with this thing, I think he can bring in the global perspective also into being. Over to you, Nair, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Baba, for very liberal adjective.
Sir, if bandwidth is a constraint, you can switch off your video. Audio will be a bit improve. Yes, sir, try now.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Aviation, what you had asked. To the owing to the time constraints. Let me here.
सर आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा.
Yeah, thank with your every time that I hear that there is so you ask the people, you know. Okay,
I think
so
Mr. Punhani should unmute. There is some voice.
every time I progress, this is something to do with the people who are sort of working from, controller. Well, now, hello.
We are getting in bits.
Hello.
We are getting in bits, sir. We are getting. Continue.
Not video. Well, civil aviation, that's air travel encompassing airlines, airports, as also tourism and hospitality, and the sector by the pandemic. All of us will agree. Give a sense of pan-India air travel scenario. Let me quote some facts and figures. If you 2030, same recording in progress when it's disrupted, something wrong. Miss. We have been doing so many webinars now, never it has happened like this. I think when I say we in GMR, I mean. Hello.
Yeah, yes, we are getting you, sir.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. I was mentioning that on 25th, I was wanting to give a sense of the of the effect, some facts and passengers flew on 532 domestic commercial flights across India. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
On again. You see, I have. Okay. I was giving the figure of 25th. For the pandemic period. Am I audible now? For I would request all others to switch off the video. Then it will, the bandwidth will improve. Only the one who speaks should switch on the, the video. Others should switch off. For instance, I can see Mr. Narasimhan now in the video.
Sir, your audio is okay. You continue, please.
Okay. All right. If you look at the daily total domestic air passengers, pan India of 18th May, that is a normal working day. The number came down to 39,641 flights. The drastic reduction of imposed by the governments. Now, with a ban on international travel to and fro, India having been enforced,
No sound.
COVID. Hello, can you hear me?
Well, it comes and then goes.
Yeah, it is. You don't have a reliable. So I can assure you, I have a 200 Mbps system here. It's quite reliable here from my end. The other end is not taken care of. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shall I proceed or? Okay. Okay. Now commenting on the second
Sir, can
wave.
we request? Can we request that you kindly hand over to Dr. Sanat Kaul, and from there we can start the actual thing, because the time is passing by, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry. I mean, I think I can assure you this is technical glitches are not from my end, and I have a very reliable. Yeah.
We understand that.
Let me hand over to Mr. Sanat Kaul, and that I'm sure most of you knowing Dr. Sanat Kaul. He is from the coveted Indian Administrative Service of UT cadre. In fact, I knew him from his Joint Secretary, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and before was a representative on the Council of India's representative on the Council of ICAO, and he held several other key positions in Government of India and the NCT Delhi. He's a PhD in economics from the University of London. He is currently the chairman of International Foundation for Aviation and Aerospace and Drones. Over to you, Dr. Sanat Kaul.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody? All right. So I'm very sorry about this technical glitch with Mr. Nair has faced, but I have a high regard for Mr. Nair because he is one person who would have given us a lot of insight into the aviation sector, the airport sector, where he has dedicated, I don't know how many, 40 years, I think. And he has been both with the Airport Authority and with GMR. And now he's in fact looking after GMR's all operations, international and otherwise. And it's always a pleasure to speak to him. Anyhow, we'll try and see if we can get back to him. So today's webinar is interesting because we have to see what are the prospects for aviation in the near future. As we know, aviation and hospitality sectors are about to collapse. They're about to collapse because a number of things happened. The pandemic has created havoc. The passenger confidence in aviation is very low. And Zoom itself has changed the method of how business is done. Zoom was practically unknown before the pandemic, but suddenly it's, everybody's having Zoom meetings. They're quite good. Today, unfortunately, is the first time I also had this. I came, with Mr. Nair's problem. I realized that Zoom can be unreliable. But then, of course, when you're traveling, your aircraft can be unreliable because of weather or some other reason, so you don't reach the meeting. Anyhow, so coming back to the subject, so we have, I think, we have today 4 speakers who are going to tell us, and I think I will, give them around 8 minutes each to present, give their little presentation. But I would like to say 2 things. One is that the pandemic has creating havoc, and the passenger confidence is down, and therefore the doctor amongst us Dr. B.K. Singh, an ex-army gentleman, Captain B.K. Singh. He will tell us of what exactly is the issue and how people are scared and why they should not be scared, which I think is the thing. The second is Mr. Sudesh Ponani, who's former finance director of Air India. And he is going to tell us, in fact, maybe he can start to begin with, the financial collapse of the aviation sector. And how now the government has finally woken up to say, okay, we will help. Now there's been in the newspapers that they will provide. So what kind of facility should they provide? It's what kind? Can it be a loan, grant? What is it? How will they survive? There are only a few airlines and airports. Some are private airports, some are government airports. So who should get the facility and what kind of facility? So maybe just now I will start with Mr. Ponani to give us an overall scenario of what is happening because of the lockdown to the aviation sector in a few minutes, and how, if you can suggest, how the financial side can be taken care of so that the entire sector does not go under, especially airlines. In at least in the Airport Authority of India, I presume government will support, but private airports are also coming up and they are also in trouble. So over to Mr. Ponani. Now, Mr. Ponani has been with Air India as finance director. He's a chartered accountant by profession. Post-retirement, he is actually practicing chartered accountancy. And he has seen through various sides of Air India, how the airlines take loan, how they lease, the ups and downs of industry of Air India. So he has a deep insight into the financial aspect of the airline sector, and he has dealt at the highest level to see whether how to manage and what are the facilities that can be provided. So, Mr. Sudesh Ponani.
Very good morning, and thank you, Mr. Sanat Kaul, for your introduction. We are unfortunately faced with...
Mr. Ponani, speak a little louder.
I said thank you, Mr. Sanat Kaul, and for introducing me. It is very unfortunate in the present scenario that we are being faced with such a situation where pandemic, bad weather, cancellation of flights, delayed flights, flights being banned, air travel being banned from one country to the another. So these are all the factors which have come primarily because of pandemic situation. Now the situation is that as far as the air traveler is concerned, I'm an air traveler, and my interest is to be protected by all means, either by the airline or by the government or by any international body. Whosoever is providing me the tools and facilities, I will be a happy air traveler. There's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, the situation is because of all this combining effect of various issues that all airlines are cash crunch. They have very limited resources of providing any additional facilities or any additional financial assistance to the air traveler. So now it is the responsibility of the government that should come forward and help provide all financial assistance to the air traveler. As far as as you know, the money is a merry-go-round. Everybody is centered towards the money and nobody wants to lose. Today there are problems being faced either because of fares, either because of baggage or compensations because of delayed or cancelled flights, and the refunds because of the flights being cancelled. Now, these are all the problems today air traveler is facing, and it is a very acute problem on the part of air traveler. Now, who is to provide for this? As far as the mega, as far as the inter settlements are concerned, that is done by ITA clearing house through ITA and ICAO. They are taking care of that. But as far as the air traveler is concerned, we must provide all the financial assistance. And today, every government is coming forward and providing the financial assistance or financial help to the air traveler. Coming to the mega magnitude of and common interest of the air traveler is concerned, now that is already taken care through the Ministry of Finance, either with the Airport Authority of India or through private operators. In fact, today everybody is facing the financial crunch because the revenues of the airlines have dropped. There is hardly any cash surplus with the airlines, and particularly Air India is, because of the various losses and other things, is unable to provide any financial assistance. But there are certain problems which are airline specific, and they have to be dealt by an airline by hook or crook. Now the point here is that how airlines are doing their best to provide all that financial assistance to the air traveler so that the air traveler does not become unsatisfied, and therefore there are these issues which are airline specific are being taken care by the airline, and nobody, either international or government of India, can help it. They have to be provided by the airline, and they are being provided by all airlines in specific, whether it is related to baggage or it is related to fares or it is related to cancellation or delayed flights. Now here is the question that how and the government can provide the finances and air aviation or air travel industry should keep on going. Ultimately, the ball is with the government. Other than those which are airline specific. Any questions?
बाबा सर क्वेश्चन आंसर्स बाद में कर लेंगे इकट्ठे.
Question answer, yes, there are 1 or 2 questions relating to airline. We will come on the end, sir. Over to Sanat Kol, sir. Sir, आवाज नहीं आ रहा संत को सर.
Dr. Call, can you hear? हाँ sir.
I can hear, but can you hear me?
Yes sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes sir, I can hear you sir.
Is it okay?
We can hear you, Mr. Call.
All right. So now the issue is twofold, as I had said. One is that the airlines are in deep financial stress and they need to be rescued. And the second is passenger confidence is down, and therefore people are not flying, even if you allow them to. And the third, of course, is the government put restrictions on seat capacity, as well as the number of flights which are taking place. So maybe we can start with Dr. B.K. Singh, who can now tell us what exactly is it, how dangerous it is to fly, how safe it is to fly, what are the issues which are coming in the way, without going into the major issues about the pandemic, which we are not interested in. We're only interested in the medical aspects of flying just now and the scare that has come up. Thank you, Dr. The Captain B.K. Singh, Dr. Captain B.K. Singh.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much for calling me in this August gathering. And I'll just quickly run through, especially as we are all aware, and sense of fear has crept globally because of this pandemic. So air travel in COVID pandemic basically is the virus which has infected everyone, mainly elderly and people with comorbid conditions, as well as with now affecting the children also. It comes in the waves and it spreads through communication by aerosols or by air, and it passes from one person to other person. And mostly how it affects this virus, this is a respiratory virus, and it goes through the nose into the trachea and lungs, and then it damages. And then what happens? And patient becomes, after a week of exposure to the virus, patient develops cough, dry cough, sneezing, fever for 2-3 days, and running nose, then shortness of breath, heaviness, and then it goes into complication. He feels difficulty in breathing and his oxygen saturation goes down. And because of this low oxygen, other organs also fail, leading to heart failure or respiratory failure or brain, other condition they prop up. So now that's why death is very, very high. But in India, government and as well as health authorities are trying their best to control the epidemic, and somehow with the spread of this, we are able to contain. And in world, our death rate is the minimal. In USA, death rate is around 4 to 6%, and UK is also around the same. In India, it is less than 2%, and 80% of the cases have recovered. 10% cases are going into the complications, and that's as I have already mentioned. As far as air travel is concerned, and what is the public health and risk, which Mr. Paul has been mentioning, that fear for this, as we know, in civil aviation globally is controlled by 3 pillars. One is IATA, second is ICAO, and third is ACI. ACI means Airport Council International, and all these agencies they have come out with their own plans to mitigate this COVID pandemic, as well as to restore the confidence of air travelers. So for this, risk assessment framework has been developed, and flight associated transmission. Once you are in the aircraft, you may be normal, but you don't know, by the time you come out and go to your home, you may get some infection from some asymptomatic carrier and later on result into COVID. So considering all these factors, flight associated transmission, how to curtail it, and risk of cabin transmission and importation risk. From, let us say, person coming from, it is spread from a flight coming from Wuhan and is spread globally. So one has to check all these importation risks. How it is done for this, vaccination and immunity of the masses is the most important tool. But to immunize all these people in such a short time is very difficult. Or a difficulty is from the manufacturing, operational, and the implementation level. But still, globally, all the countries are trying, including India. So far, India has immunized 6% of its population, but still, and as far as aviation industry is concerned, our ministry should insist that air traveler as well as the airport staff should be vaccinated on priority so that we can resume our operation as early as possible. And different type of vaccines which are available are in India is Covishield, Covaxin, now AstraZeneca, Sputnik, Johnson and Johnson. These are also coming soon, and it will be available from June onwards. Now, what is more important is reducing the importation risk with international travel. So my suggestion is, as presently we are doing the quarantine and testing of the all passengers at the airports by rapid antigen test and RT-PCR. Now, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, has developed a technique, Goggle Testing. Means one can get the result within 3 hours by gargle. You just do the gargle and sample is collected and it is processed, and within 3 hours you come to know whether you are positive or not. Then contact tracing. So this is the new development. And in India, what is the current approaches, especially as aviation, different airport authorities and as well as private airport operators, airlines, and other agencies are doing their own SOPs and trying to restrict contactless travel, which is still on. And as far as treatment is concerned, there is no specific drug for this corona, but new drug 2D glucose, which has been developed by DRDO, and antibody cocktail are supposed to be quite effective, and research is still on. Now, one drug therapy scientists are working that we should have one drug so that we can able to curtail this corona. Now, aviation, ICAO has developed a council. ICAO has made a task force which is called Council Aviation Recovery Task Force. IATA has made COVID mitigation measures, and Airport Council has developed airport health accreditation programs. So this is, all the airport has to be accredited as far as COVID safety is concerned. Now, impact of COVID has been already discussed, and Mr. Paul has been insisting that confidence of the air passenger is absolutely abysmal. So one has to take care of it, and how to go about it. We have to develop a short-term strategy, mid-term strategy, and long-term strategy. For short-term seamless travel, we have to pinpoint and find out asymptomatic tracing, asymptomatic carrier tracing. How can we do that? This is very difficult, and though theoretically it is there, but how to, with the specificity, means with the accuracy, it is very difficult, but still doctors and other scientists are public health engineers are also working on it. Then instant testing, like we do the injection testing of sensitivity. So some methodology, for instance, we should get the result within 5 minutes. That work modalities are also being continued. And mass sanitization, suppose in airport as well as in aircraft, and once you come out till you reach your destination, there should be some technique so that instantly person can be sanitized. And what I suggest for short term, vaccine at the airport, and there is one IgG. IgG means antibodies against the COVID. Or suppose suspected case is there, so immediately to kill that virus, IgG is the tool. For midterm, we have midterm strategy, awareness, and SOP for the staff should be made, and all the air passengers also should be sensitized. And thirdly, long-term strategy should be global vaccination, and we should develop in passport entry should be there that person has been vaccinated for these communicable diseases. And now we should also prepare all airports and airlines and staff for impending CBRN threats, because there is a very strong idea that this is a man-made virus and resulting it into this global pandemic. So now we have to be prepared for any biological attack as well. With this, learning is now what we have learned from this pandemic is a smart health screening of air passengers should be developed, like Arogya Setu. I propose that Yatra Setu also should be made. Contactless travel is already on, and then I have already mentioned about the CBRN preparedness. And then confidence building measures for safety and for luggage of air passengers, cargo, and mental health issues of air passengers as far as perception of death or getting infected is concerned. So we should develop some strategy. With this, I close my talk. Further questions are there. And before closing, again, with the panelists and all participants, we pray the cosmic energy to provide relief from this pandemic. So there is a famous prayer from the Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyit Bhag Bhavet, from Mandokya Upanishad, so that let all be free from their sickness and let all they be sukhi and happy. With this, I close my talk. Over to Dr. Kaul, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Captain BK Singh, Dr. BK Singh. Very interesting. And I think perhaps one of the confidence building measures would be, as suggested by you, Yatra Setu, or what the IATA has said, as a travel pass. That will bring in a lot of confidence that, all people are carrying the same travel pass or Yatra Setu and they're traveling. So people will feel, confident to travel anyhow. So now the next speaker we are going to ask would be an airline person, Mr. Suresh Nayak, who's with AirAsia, and he has spent a lot of time with AirAsia. He's currently director for India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and he says he's coming here in his personal capacity, which is absolutely fine by us. And he will tell us something about what is the nature of this, of the airline sector. What is happening? How can it get out of it? How will it revive? So over to Mr. Nayak.
Thank you, Dr. Kaul, and good morning, friends, to everybody who's listening. I look after the international operations of the AirAsia group in this region. And as Dr. Kaul said, I'm here as an airline expert or an aviation expert, having been in this business for the last 40 years or so. I wanted to bring a little bit of maybe a positive perspective to such a negative scenario, and maybe look at the future a little bit more constructively, and find out what is it that can lead to the revival of demand, and to take away the perception that air travel is a rather dangerous process by which, the spread of this infection will continue. I just wanted to start with a perspective of what the aviation scene has been in the till 2019, the last 19 years of this century, when we saw exponential growth of the aviation business, especially in India. We were having 15 to 20% growth year on year, definitely, sometimes month on month. And with the advent of the low cost airlines in the early 2004, 2005, I mean, it led to a real exponential growth in the business. It continued up to maybe March 2020, when the pandemic started and the lockdown started with the closure of the airlines, both domestic and international. Of course, there was nothing to be done but to wait and watch. In May 2020, the domestic airline business was started again, though in a slow process. Quite a lot of the demand came back, quite a lot of the travel took place, and there was month-on-month growth up to March 2021, or late February, early March 2021, which led to a conclusion that possibly the worst had ended, but it was not so. From April onwards, it has been a catastrophic situation. It is not back to square one, but back to maybe -10 to what it was earlier. So it is a very uncertain future that we are looking at. We have no experience. I mean, we had 9/11, we had SARS, we had quite a few of these instances where air travel has actually come down, but never in, I think, world's aviation history has ever this kind of a long-term situation where maybe to start with, we had 95% of the world's aircraft grounded. I mean, even today, as we speak, a good, I think 40 to 50% of the world's aircraft are still grounded, but slowly it is creeping up in the other countries. We are hopeful that at some stage we would also, India would also come back to the scene. The domestic business will pick up once the numbers go down. And there is the perception that travel can lead to the spread of the infection will come down. Of course, the most silver lining that we see in front of us is a vaccination. And once that the numbers of vaccinated people grow, I feel strongly that the pent-up demand will come back to the airline business. The revival of demand and the safety of the passengers are the two real issues facing the airline industry. Of course, I mean, as Mr. Pohnani had mentioned, the financial situation of the airlines is very precarious. I mean, we are hopeful that a good number of airlines will sustain this crisis. Some of the countries have really put out a lot of government help. We have not yet seen it in India, but we are hopeful that government support will also be there. That is the only way that if the airlines sustain and this rather difficult situation, very disastrous situation in the airline business, I think you would see the demand coming back to much more than now. We are only aiming at, any airline is only aiming at least reaching the pre-COVID 2019 situation. We are not even looking at a growth of what would have been if the pandemic had not happened. So we are looking at pre-COVID situation reaching sometime late 2023 or early 2024. I mean, that is the situation that we are today now. Revival of demand. Now, I mean, it is a rather catch-22 situation for any airline. I mean, if you increase the fares in this situation, I mean, demand may even further come down. I mean, if on the other side, if we don't increase the fares, it is not viable for the airlines to survive at these lower fares with a lower number of passengers. So it's a very, very difficult situation. But with vaccination and the development in technology, where without real personal contact, one can travel with facial recognition systems as far as your security and your check-in process is concerned. I mean, technological advances in cleaning of the air, which is already on inside the cabin, and plus, of course, the COVID protocol of wearing mask and the visor to make sure that the spread doesn't happen. PPE suits for middle seat travelers. I mean, I think these are things that will continue for a much longer time till everyone is vaccinated and this pandemic is ultimately given away or driven away in some way or the other. As the good doctor has mentioned, I mean, the process is very much on, and we need to change the perception that the air travel is dangerous, and we should get back to a stage where the demand comes back and the passenger air traveler comes back to fly for his holiday, for his leisure, for his business, to visit family, friends, and relatives. All the various aspects of the air travel business which contributed to the growth of the business, which I feel we will come back to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nair. That was wonderful. Now, I'm going to raise a few questions and ask.
Sir, I got a request.
Yeah, Captain Deepak Shastri to speak, but there was somebody intervening saying something. They have a request.
Sir, Satinder Singh, I have a request. We can request Mr. P.S. Nair now. He can try because the things seem to have been stable, and would like to know his views on the airports.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now I just want to make one comment to sort of set the kind of agenda where I feel that there is a need. Okay. Now let's take it like this: that in Wuhan, when the pandemic spread, it's interesting that the Chinese authorities stopped all domestic flights and allowed all international flights. And is one considered what happened. What people generally consider is that the virus went all over the world because of that. Then you also have things like the UK version or the Indian version. So obviously, air travel has been responsible. Yes. I would like to know that what is the effort which the airlines and the airports together have made to say that this will not be allowed to happen. We will make sure. They have not introduced something. I mean, IATA said we are going to introduce a travel pass. But what about the airlines in India, which are doing so well as Mr. Nair is described? And they collapsed. But they have not made any effort to say, we will do everything to make sure that it will not spread. In fact, on the other hand, India was stopped 3 or 4 times in Hong Kong and in the Gulf somewhere, I think in Dubai, from coming. They banned Air India because they were bringing in passengers low cost. So, over to Mr. Nair, and then we'll have Deepak Shastri. Mr. Nair, if he's...
Well, I hope this time it works. You know,
Yes.
system doesn't dish me. Okay. What, to give you a sort of sense as to what is at the ground level at the airport, I think I should quote some latest study report. And before that, of course, you are all aware that yesterday, late in the evening only, the Ministry of Civil Aviation issued an order number 19, which strains the traffic cap from 80% to 50%. So that's a scenario where we are in. And of course, that if you look at the load factor, passenger load factor, it was average 30%. You know, so that's one of the reasons attributed in that order. You know, so I think the report I was mentioning was commenting on the impact of the second wave of the pandemic in India. This, I think it was ICRA, that credit rating agency, which came out with a very, very, nice report, which articulated the scenario very well. It pointed out that fewer Indians ventured to fly for the 9th week in a row. It also highlighted that the average passenger load factor of India, as I said, is 30% during the week ended as latest as 23rd May. ICRA also consequently revised the growth estimate for air passenger traffic to 80 to 85% annually during financial year 2022 from the earlier projected 130 to 135%. Okay, and these are some of the factors. And I think I should also refer to like what Suresh did, to be to project a positive picture. I think we have the Boeing report. It does a report not commenting on a year or two. It is on a 20-year horizon. I think I will quote some of the factors reported in that report. See what they are saying is, in fact, Boeing complimented India for utilizing the aircraft. Suresh rightly pointed out that a large number of aircraft have been grounded and globally, whereas in India the scenario was different. In fact, in India, within domestic, within the various destinations in India, with this the traffic cap of 80%, which was successive, which was periodically reviewed and brought to 80 and now brought down to 50%, and the utilization of the aircraft for many lessors, etc., else abroad, they were relying on India. Okay, that is one factor, and our own. If you take the major airport operated by GMR at Delhi and Hyderabad, international traffic is nil practically. It has come down to, under the bubble scheme, a very negligible figure. And the passenger, we were hoping, we were pulling on with the domestic passenger, but then that was hovering around 30%. But with this latest order and the second wave, which has been impacting various across India, I think we expect that will further come down. And that is where we are. And I would, on a 20-year horizon, if you look at, I'm sure, and that's been brought out in the report of Boeing also, the scenario will be different. We will regain whatever we have lost as per their report by 2023, and we will double the domestic traffic by 2030, and we will come back. We may even possibly achieve that the much talked about number one position by 2035. Is words to that effect is what has been written in the report of Boeing. So, I mean, I think I wish I had, I could. I wish I had not faced this technical glitch. Probably I could have, done better justice. So over to you. Does it make any sense?
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much. The optimistic view is always good to hear. I think the passenger confidence is the basic thing, that, and also that to ensure that airlines and airports also are not spreading. Unlike what we say happened at the elections or at Kumbh Mela, airlines are not responsible, but they did not spread. But that is also not fully correct. So that's where now last speaker for today is Captain Deepak Shastri. Captain Deepak Shastri is a former Indian Army officer. He was with the Corps of Electrical Engineers, and then he was with the Airport Authority of India. He was airport director at Calicut, Pune, and Chennai. And post-retirement from Airport Authority of India, he is now the director of Shastri Airport, and is also, I think, advisor to government of Maharashtra. So we would like to hear from him some of the issues that have been raised in general, because his experience is very wide. Thank you, and over to Captain Shastri.
Thank you, Mr. Kaul. It is in my personal capacity, I would like to share my experience pre-COVID, post-COVID, and now the present second wave. And to begin with, I will certainly say, I myself don't know what exactly is going to happen in the immediate future. Things are very, very uncertain. And there is a talk of third wave also. So the situation is absolutely under a kind of mystery which only time will going to unfold. Having said this, we have to concentrate on aviation, how aviation is going to see through this very, very unprecedented situation which we are facing, not only in our country, but globally as well. First, an immediate requirement is that remaining afloat. As we all know that our business is, aviation is interdependent business. Airlines need airport, therefore airport survives. Airlines needs passengers, then only they can fly. And passengers must have a demand which forces them to travel, then only they can. And this pandemic has closed all those avenues, because all the associated industries for which people used to travel or people used to go for enjoyment, entertainment, leisure, tourism, or exploration, medical, all these things are suffering in some way or the other. So therefore, there is no demand from the passenger to travel. On the contrary, there are instructions that they should remain at home in order to contain the virus. So in this situation, in this interdependent situation, it is very difficult to talk about aviation, how we can revive or how we can regain the passengers' confidence. Passengers' confidence is not solely required, focused on what facilities we can provide. It is focused on various other factors. And aviation's facilities or cost or fare can be one among them, but not the only among them. Having said this, I would like to assess the situation in SWOT analysis in the reverse form. Because we, SWOT, threat, I want to start with threat because we are already in threatening situation. and I'll go and write up to strength. In the threat, we all, as I said in my opening remarks, that it is unprecedented, uncertain. We don't know how to proceed. We are inexperienced for this. So threat is enormous. In that, remaining afloat is the only possible way of keeping our fingers crossed and hope that in future things will improve and we will exploit that situation. So this threat position is extremely, extremely uncertain. And we have to just concentrate on how within the available means we can work and remain afloat and are in a position to exploit the revived situation as and when it comes. Opportunity is plenty more. Quite few us in this situation of 1.5 years, people are absolutely suffering from in every possible, mentally, physically, otherwise, business-wise, commercially, everywhere. So as and when this situation improves, this kind of suppressed desires, wishes, compulsions will come up, pent up, and that is the time I'm very, very sure that these opportunities, if provided to them, can be useful. So opportunities are there, only the time is uncertain and we have to wait for that time. And till that time comes, we have to remain afloat. Now, weakness in this, weakness is funds, money. Airlines have a lot of debts. They have their operational costs. Airports have a lot of debts. Their operational costs. They have to be met with corresponding no returns coming. How to situate? So the finances, funding, to keep things as they are for a use. That is our weakness and we have to work out. How it is to be worked out, we have to find out ways and means. We have to create certain kinds of additional fund generating systems which can be given to them, or in some indirect form, we can create a COVID cess in various commodities and use that funds for keeping ourselves afloat only. And strength, gentlemen, I am a very, very optimistic guy. Aviation is here to stay. Transport is here to stay. As long as there is an advantage of speed, as long as there is an advantage of comfort, aviation is number one as far as the transport is concerned. No doubt about it. And even now, I can very safely say that in all forms of modes of transport, except for your personal car driven by yourself, this is the most safest mode of transportation today, with already taken measures by us. So that kind of confidence people don't have, they have not lost. Problem is there that in order to reach airport, you have to do so many hassles. RT-PCR you should do, the report should come negative, you should come there. There should be a last minute cancellation because load factor is not there. All these uncertainties making him more concerned rather than traveling per se. He is ready to travel because he is somewhere deep down core in his heart knows that it is still the safest mode of transport. So with this strength, as and when we come back to normal, this pent up demand automatically will exponentially rise. And I'm sure even if we get this vaccination and if by the end of this year, if suppose this particular thing comes back to normalcy, as we saw in the month of February, I think by the end of next year, we will come back to pre-COVID-19. That is the kind of optimism I show. So with these words, I say that aviation is here to stay. Aviation has to survive till we get our confidence back, till we overcome this virus, till we see through this pandemic period. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. Yeah, Mr. Kaul, sir.
Sir, आपका mic.
Thank you very much, Captain Shastri. We have about, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Yeah, so we have about 10 minutes with us for questions and answers. Firstly, I would like to thank Captain Shastri, which I had said, but I think my mic was muted, for a very nice presentation, a very optimistic scenario which he's giving. Let's hope everything works out. We have about 10 minutes for questions and answers, and after that, I'll hand over because then we have to finish the program. So, who will be conducting the questions and answers? Mr. Baba?
Thank you, Dr. Sanat Kaul. Dr. Sanat Kaul is known for on-time performance, and he knows how to deliver projects on time. So thank you very much, sir, for bringing us under the control funnel of time. Thank you. The first question, rather the last to come first, and very interesting. Sometimes we are talking of positivity, and positivity comes from the audience, because multiple speakers have talked about the positivity, and I think the positivity has been caught by the audience also. Akash Pal has asked a question which can be addressed any of the panelists. Does a universal vaccine passport help in ease of traveling or regulating travel insurance costs for overseas travel for those in line with the vaccination? Is that recommended? It's a very good suggestion. Whether it is doable or not doable, experts can dwell on that, please. Who can take up?
Doctor?
Doctor, the
Yes.
question, I repeat, if you can read from the Q&A also, does a universal vaccine passport help in ease of traveling or regulating travel insurance cost for overseas travel for those in line with the vaccination recommended? This deals with the medical science as well as to the airlines. Both can answer, please.
Definitely, from medical point of view, I have already insisted that vaccination at airport also should be made available, and it should be endorsed in the passport, not only.
Your mic got muted. Yes.
Yes, for that there should be some scope. So definitely it is a good suggestion, and it can be implemented globally with the help of IATA, ICAO, and whereas IATA and different stakeholders of different countries where these flights are moving. So it is a good suggestion and certainly can be taken up.
And part of the question goes to Mr. Suresh Nair also, because it involves costs. How
Yes,
the
yes,
airlines will take up it, sir?
I was just about to get into that.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, there is a lot of activity which is going on between the airlines and IATA and other on a digital solution for this travel pass. I mean, a lot of strides has been taken place as to what would be acceptable to all nations as far as the travel pass is concerned, whether it would be IATA travel pass, then the reason of which are the vaccinations which would be eligible for this pass, which will be accepted by the countries everywhere. So, I mean, it is I think considerably. I mean, it is a difficult process by which everybody has to accept that this would be a valid. I mean, if you remember, we used to have a yellow fever certificate which we needed to carry to the African countries. Similarly, I think a stage will come, or it may come very soon, that an acceptable travel pass with the vaccination certificates, which we can show digitally, would be in place pretty soon. I think the airlines are very, very keen to have such a situation. I mean, the airlines are also working on the process of getting an rapid, immediate result to the testing process, so that whether on landing or departure, you can be tested and you will know immediately whether you are infected or not. I mean, I think in the all through the pandemic, I think the airlines have been quite proactive in getting this travel pass or some kind of a very speedy testing process in place, so that the spread doesn't take place.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you, Mr. Suresh Nair, for taking the question so well. And thank you to our audience for their presence and raising the valid questions. In the same breath, I will come this question to Suresh Nair sir again. Dr. Narendra Dalai is a research-oriented person, and he is into the academics. He had put a question, taking a lead probably from Mr. P.S. Nair when he said the positivity is high. He said, I think post-COVID will bring lots of aviation business opportunities. Can you highlight some? I think it refers both to airlines and the airports, and both P.S. Nair and Suresh Nair can address to this, please. Shall I repeat the question? Post-COVID will bring lots of aviation business opportunity. Can you highlight some, please?
I will also like to answer this question.
Yes, please come. You may start, then the other speakers will follow. Please.
As I said in that, see this 1.5 year the confinement itself, the moment it is relieved, people are going to just go out. Even if they have nothing to do, they would like to go out. That is going to be a big booster. Service sector has got a huge opportunities both in terms of providing entertainment as well as employability. All this service industry, when they start opening up, these activities will become hectic and expand rapidly, and that will give aviation the much needed booster dose. That itself is there, and plus all those economic activities, investments which were kept on hold or because of various reasons, they will all start unfolding in a very gradual manner. All incomplete ongoing projects will come back with a vengeance. Banks will provide cashes which they have got with them already, but unfortunately there is no taker for that. All these things will improve the economic activity everywhere, and that will improve the aviation business opportunities. As I said, air travel is #1 preference for anybody, for anything to travel beyond 200 kilometers.
I fully endorse with you. And history, I am coming to you. History has repeated that the air travel has multiplied in spite of all odds, double after every 15 years. And this pandemic will also prove that we will again grow. Over to P.S. Nair, sir.
Yeah. And not being over optimistic, it's a fact that India is the land of opportunities and opportunities. Okay. And coming back to the same Boeing report, which I quoted a little while ago, it said India's domestic air travel is leading, even in this most difficult period itself, is leading global recovery for aircraft being used for flights within a country during the pandemic, which is absolutely not the case elsewhere. Okay. And, they went to the extent of predicting that India's domestic travel will regain to 2019 by this year end, current year end, 2021 end, while international traffic full recovery will happen by 2023. And specifically, it has been pointed, and rightly so, I endorse it, VFR segment will lead recovery, followed by leisure and business travel. See, when it comes to opportunities, these are huge opportunities. And when I say I'm an optimist, and if you look at it on a 20-year horizon, we are going to regain all what has been lost, and with a double bang, we will come back. That is what I was trying to highlight. And I'm sure it is going to happen. Youngsters, you're all youngsters, you will all enjoy the fruit of it.
Thank you very much, sir. You wanted to say something, Mr. Suresh Nair?
I mean, I would only add to what Mr. Nair and Captain Shastri has mentioned. I mean, I'm 100% sure the business will come back double-fold. I mean, the timelines, we will not know. I mean, travel has always been an interesting aspect of everybody's life. I mean, I get this question every day from a number of people: when are the international flights going to start again?
Yes.
I mean, it is just a lull period now. I mean, because of the current situation. It is just a matter of time before everything comes back. And if you see from past experience, even see things changed so quickly in March 2020 from booming travels the scenario to nothing at all. I mean, things can also come back in the same way, you know. I mean, our thinking acts very fast. By February 2021, I mean, 80% of the domestic capacity had come back.
Yes, sir.
That itself shows the tendency of people to make use of travel as and when they can.
People are waiting as soon as we can ensure that they are safe to travel, and
That
that's
is
the
right.
type of questions which are being
Yeah.
raised.
Yeah.
And the second question is from Mr. Umesh Mehta. Rather, he has got two questions, but I will try to club them. And a part of that will come to the airlines and airport, and part of that will come to Mr. Sudesh Punani. He says, "Sir, I would like to know the future of airlines as COVID has lot of impact on financial. Rather, he has used the word it has crippled them financially." And the second breath, he has said, "I have flown 8 times during the pandemic and found an atmosphere of gloom. And particularly when he see the aircraft are parked in hangar in a row, how do you impact that the morale of the passengers can be moved when they pass around?" And over to Sudesh Punani, how the airlines could, or rather in that spirit, now the airports also, in a private circle, a circular is rolling yesterday that the salaries of the airport staff have to be delayed for some time. So everybody is just how to touch financing, Punani Sahab, and how to rule the passengers boost while they're passing through the airport and when they're sitting in the aircraft. Over to you, sir, Punani sir.
Thank you. As the other panelists have posed confidence in air travel to revive, there is no iota of doubt that airline business will come back sooner or later. Having said that, today is a situation which we have to face it with big heart, and we should ask wherever it is possible for the government to assist us financially. And as I said, that there are certain issues which are related to air travelers, which are airline specific. They have to be taken care by the respective airlines and not the government. Government can assist or give financial assistance to the concerned airline depending on their requirement, depending on their need. And today, if some aircraft are grounded or some aircraft are not operating, as other panelists have said, that there is bound to be increase in the traffic over the years, and we will come out with, I'm very positive that we'll come out with such difficult financial situation sooner or later. Thank you.
Thank you. For the second part, when the passenger passes through the airport, he sees the glooming. How we can take him away from that gloom? Is there any solutions for that? That he should not able to see that? Doctor, also can, but it's some psychological treatment.
What is gloomy?
He says that the aircraft are parked, and some people also written that they read the news that the pigeons have got the pigeon resting place in the aircraft. The bats are moving inside the aircraft. So like that, how to keep them confident so that their morale is boosted always?
When you're sitting at home, each one of us is in a little bit of a depressive mood. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a mood of the world. I mean, it is nothing to do with airport or aircraft or flying or anything like that.
Yes.
I mean, if you talk among ourselves, I mean, it is most of the time we are only talking numbers or what is happening. Have you taken a vaccination? There is nothing else happening in the world, you know.
Yes, you're right.
So I think it is to do with the whole situation, and that itself can change very quickly.
All right.
In lighter vein, I have a solution, and I would say,
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and if I say that there is a solution, and then that solution is that you can take this aircraft to MRO, when it is grounded for long.
Yes. So that is what somebody has hinted. There will be a lot of opportunities. So
Okay.
business opportunities
Yeah.
will be
So
there.
I said,
Mr. Nair is looking at GMR's MRO business also,
that's why I said, don't get me wrong. And,
And when they,
jokes
that is the
apart,
reason
I think
I
jokes
appreciate.
Jokes
Yeah.
apart, that we got to accept that India is a land of opportunities and opportunities, and this is only a passing phase, mind you. We have shown the lead, and we have proved to the world that yes, we have solution everywhere, whether it is for inventing a vaccine, even administering vaccine to millions and all, notwithstanding what we read in the in the newspapers and all. But the fact is that there is solution, and then we will win over all these things, and we have come. We'll come out of this in no time. And a redeeming feature, of course, is that government has. There has been report that government is seriously looking at a stimulus, being introduced for the worst affected sectors, namely tourism, civil aviation, and
Right.
hospitality. That also comes as a reality. That will be all these aircraft which you have seen grounded, it will be floating in the air. So in any case, I can assure you that lessors will not like to keep this aircraft for long grounded. Either they will be taking it to our MRO, or they will be repainting it and then give it to the next customer. That's for sure. Yeah.
Right, sir. Clock is moving fast, and the beauty of this is that during all the seriousness of the talk, all the panelists were able to bring laughter back to the stage. That's the very beauty of this panelist. And
Can I just intervene?
Right. I was just coming that we are good that we could exchange the laughter also in among the serious talks. And one last question, though Deepak Shastri mentioned about, yes, there is a third wave. One question has come, is there will be a third wave? Okay, you said it could be, but then have we have any impact of that wave, or we will start analyzing when it comes? And that is my last question, and then we'll have it to our secretaries of for a vote of thanks. Anybody would like to comment on this, please?
Third wave is inevitable, but since we have already started making preparations for it, it may not be as serious as is the second wave, where we have literally got caught unawares. So that situation is not very unlikely during the third wave. It is only question of, as somebody has very rightly said, doctor has said that vaccination is the silver lining. Mr. Nair also has said that. So this silver lining we have to implement and find ways and means. And third wave is going to attack the younger children. That is what is being told. So we have to be very, very careful about what our vaccination plan is, because that is the only solution. And DRDO has come out with that medicine. Its efficacy will tell us in the days to come how safe or how immune we become to the third wave. But hopefully it will not be as impacting as the second wave was.
All right. Thank you very much. And let us hope this happens that way only. With this, if among the panelists we got any question, you are free to ask from each other, or I will call the secretary sir for a vote of thanks.
Now, Mr. Bawa, I'll just comment on this third wave, because as we are insisting on vaccination, besides this, what is most important is addressing the confidence of these passengers whenever they come at airports or in airlines. Because I have also traveled, most of the staff, they remain quiet. So repeatedly, announcement should be made by staff or by the captain, so that some announcement, what are the improvements and measures they are taking, so that passenger is aware of it, and that message is passed to everyone. And besides this, at airport also, this we will overcome, and instant vaccination and testing should be implemented as the government or the airlines. They must insist on the government, so that at airport facilities should be provided.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Now I will request our Secretary Saab, under whose guidance and his thrust, we are all progressing every day. And Air Travel Association, I must mention, is now reached by 700 plus members, which is a mix of live member and annual members. And our beauty is now we are more oriented towards social media, and that is the reason probably we were able to bring in the people together. And so far our social media presence is concerned, sir, we are omnipresent, pan-India, and we have got members from abroad also. And thank you everybody for that. Now I will bring Secretary Saab for a vote of thanks for placing everything on record. Over to you, Narasimhan sir.
Thank you, Mr. Baba. It's a really a great achievement that we have done today. In these days of pandemic, especially in the second wave is at the highest peak. Delhi, Mumbai, every place in the highest peak. Bangalore, of course, where I live, is absolutely high. We could conduct this webinar. Before actually conveying my thanks to everybody, I do a small example. This is about the issue of gloom. Gloom, in my opinion, is a personal opinion. It's a personal opinion. People who travel, most of you will be traveling very often. You will not feel the gloom. You will not look at the aircraft as a grounded. You will look at the aircraft in which you are flying. Other day, you heard, most of you heard a death news that one passenger was carried from here to the wall by the Emirates Airlines. An example, I would say, I have very close family friend. The husband is 80 plus years. Wife is also very senior citizen. In the last 3 months, they are traveled from US to India, Delhi to Chennai twice, Chennai to Delhi, Chennai to Calcutta, Calcutta to Delhi, and again, end of this month, they are traveling back to US. See, this is where they look at it. The people who feel gloom will feel gloom. People who are really want to encourage themselves, want to feel good about it, they feel good about it. So the gloom is a factor which all of us should be able to mind our own, control our own minds. And what we can do is to encourage people to understand the situation. So, example, most of you will find that you are not able to take out your cars. They are parked for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days continuously. Whereas in the usual day-to-day activities, you have traveled every day. This is a part of the life. So that was what I would say, the gloom. Coming back to the vote of thanks, as I said, it's really, really a good achievement for us and for all the participants. I would like to thank all the participants. They are the backbone of this webinar. See, without the participants, if only panelists are there, when the members are there, it doesn't be a successful webinar. So we had a fairly good number of participants. I would thank all of them for participating in it. My thanks goes to all the panel members, the Dr. Sanat Kaul, who has been the moderator, Suresh Nair ji, he has given really extremely highlighting extremely good information for us. Captain Deepak Shastri, Dr. B.K. Singh, Suresh Panhani, and Mr. Of course, Mr. P.S. Nair, who has been helping us, though he is a part of GMR, but he is with us. He is an expert advisor for us always. He has been helping us a lot. All of them, we do thank you. Though there in the initial stages, few technical hitches in the webinar organization, is a part of the life. If you most of you recall, even the physical seminars which you used to have, in the beginning there will be a problem with the mic, there will be a problem with speaker, there will be a problem with the electricity going off. So these are the hitches we have to face. Yes, we have to face it. This is part of it, but ultimately we succeeded. So we're thankful to the God Almighty that we conducted this webinar in a successful way. And most importantly, we have a backup organization who helped us in conducting this webinar. This organization called Target, who helped us in conducting this webinar. I will be thankful to them for helping us in this webinar. And then I will have to definitely mention about one person who was backbone, who was really stout for conducting this webinar. we might all of us, most of them, have given advice to him, suggestions to him, but the person who really did it was Mr. Baba. Mr. Baba. But for him, I'm damn sure this webinar would have been so successful. I think most of you agree, most of you will not have any different opinion if I say that webinar has been conducted successfully with very good information inputs, and most importantly, time. We could maintain punctuality, start in time, and mostly we're going to end in time. So I'm thankful to all of you for giving us opportunity. With the encouragement we received today, we hope we'll be able to conduct more and more webinars. Not only webinars, as and when the situation improves, we come back from this pandemic situation, we'll be able to conduct physical seminars to encourage, to take forward these comforts of the air travel situation. Thank you very much. Thanks all of you.
Right, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. May I request the administrator to stop the recording and the live session. For the information of everybody, we will live on the YouTube also. We will share the link separately so that we can transmit further. We were 150 plus registered. Out of them, about 50 could join live. Another are waiting for the live link because they are from different time zone, etc. also. So that's the reason we had gone. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.